Before she left, my mom told me, "You're like your deadbeat father. I'm sick of you both." Now, after 15 years of silence, she shows up demanding I bankroll her new family. Hey, Reddit. So, my mom cheated on my dad when I was 17, told me she was sick of me, and basically disappeared. Out of nowhere, she tried to crawl back into my life like nothing happened, with a brand new husband and kids in tow. She thought I'd play along. Spoiler, I didn't. I, 32 male, was 17 when my mom decided to blow up our entire family. Most kids my age were stressing about grades, girlfriends, or what car they'd get if they begged hard enough. Me? I was watching my mom torch the marriage, the house, and basically whatever respect I had left for her. I didn't find out in some dramatic movie scene. It was way more pathetic than that. I came home one afternoon, grabbed something from the kitchen, and heard her in the living room. She wasn't whispering either, just openly arguing with my dad. And not the normal married couple argument about bills. This was full-on yelling about how she deserved happiness and how she couldn't live like a roommate anymore. My dad, who's the most straightforward guy I know, just sat there quiet like someone knocked the wind out of him. She kept throwing lines like, "At least he makes me feel alive. At least he notices me." I didn't even need to hear the rest to put it together. She was talking about the dude she'd been working late with. When she finally noticed me standing there, she didn't even flinch. No panic, no shame, just rolled her eyes like I was interrupting her show. My dad looked broken, but she was stone cold. "Go back to your room," she said. I didn't move. "So, you're really screwing around on Dad?" She glared at me. "Watch your mouth." I laughed, but not the funny kind. More like the "you've got to be kidding me" laugh. "Don't worry, I'll keep it clean when I tell people my mom's a cheater." That's when she snapped. She pointed her finger at me and said, "I am so sick of you. You're just like your father. Always judging, always acting better than me. I'm done with both of you." Imagine being 17 and hearing your mom say she's sick of you. Not disappointed, not angry. Straight up sick of you. That was the moment the switch flipped in my head. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just looked at her and said, "Then go. If you're sick of us, pack your bags and don't come back." The silence after that was heavy. Even my dad looked at me like he didn't expect it. But I meant every word. She wanted out? Fine. I wasn't going to beg her to stay. She sneered at both of us, grabbed her purse and said, "One day you'll thank me for not wasting my life in this miserable house. I deserve better than this family." Then she walked out like she was heading to a spa appointment instead of ending her marriage and cutting off her own kid. That same night, she grabbed her stuff and left like it was nothing. No, "I'll miss you." No, "I'll explain later." Just slammed the door and went straight to her affair partner's place. Like walking away from your husband and your kid was as simple as deleting an email. The next few weeks were brutal, not because of her, but because of the aftermath. My dad looked like he'd aged 10 years overnight. He barely talked unless it was about bills or my schedule. I had to step up, plain and simple. I started cooking more, handling chores, keeping him from completely spiraling. People at school found out bits and pieces. Small-town gossip doesn't stay hidden long. Friends asked me if I was okay. I just shrugged and said, "My mom's dead to me." They thought I was joking. I wasn't. What stung wasn't the cheating itself. I mean, yeah, that was disgusting. But people cheat. What got me was how little she cared about me in the process. Like I was just collateral damage. She didn't just throw away her marriage, she threw away her kid too. That takes a special kind of selfish. Here's the thing though. I didn't sulk. I wasn't about to let her wreck me the way she wrecked Dad. If anything, it hardened me. While other kids were whining about curfews, I was helping my dad rebuild his life and quietly plotting mine. I promised myself two things that night. I'd never be like her. If she ever tried to crawl back into my life, I'd make sure she regretted it. And for the next few years, I stuck to that. She didn't call, she didn't text, she didn't show up on birthdays. Not once. She meant it when she said she was sick of me. So I treated her the same way I'd treat a stranger on the street, like nothing. When people talk about losing a parent, they usually mean death. For me, it was different. My mom was still walking around, still posting on Facebook about her perfect new family, but as far as I was concerned, she might as well have been 6 feet under. That night at 17, I didn't just walk away from her. I buried her, and I never looked back. People always ask me if cutting off a parent feels heavy, like carrying around guilt. Honestly, it felt like freedom. She wanted out, I gave her the door. No begging, no chasing, no pretending. By the time I hit 18, I stopped even saying the word mom. She wasn't my mom anymore. She was just some woman who used to live in our house until she decided a new guy was worth more than her own family. The years that followed were quiet in a weird way. At first, I half expected her to try pulling me back in. A call on my birthday, a fake apology, something. But nothing came. She left like she promised, and she meant it. I wasn't her son anymore, and she wasn't my parent. Instead, it was just me and my dad. And if I'm being honest, he wasn't in the best shape those first few years. I saw him drag himself to work looking like a shell, then come home and sit in silence at the table. He wasn't the type to talk about feelings, so I just filled the gaps. I started handling stuff around the house without being asked, fixed things that broke, paid attention to bills, cooked most nights. At 17, 18 years old, I felt more like his partner than his kid. But weirdly, that's what I needed. It kept me focused, and focus turned into ambition. I had this fire under me, like I had something to prove. She thought we were nothing without her? Fine. I'd make sure we built something so strong that even her name would sound laughable in comparison. College was my ticket out, but I didn't treat it like a vacation like a lot of kids do. I worked side hustles, took internships, did everything I could to stack skills and cash. While my friends were blowing weekends on nonsense, I was building a resume that made recruiters blink twice. By the time I was 22, I was already making moves in my industry, stacking money, and setting myself up for bigger things. I'd see glimpses of her life through other people. Small-town gossip has a way of circling back. I heard she got married to the guy she left us for. Word was he ditched his own wife in the process. Then they had kids. Heard she posted pictures on Facebook with captions about her beautiful family. But she never tagged me. Never once reached out. As far as she was concerned, I was erased. And honestly, good. Because while she was playing house with her new family, I was leveling up. By 25, I'd bought my first place. By 27, I had more money saved than most people twice my age. Promotions came fast because I didn't waste time. I wasn't trying to find myself like people my age. I already knew who I was. I was the guy who got left behind and turned it into fuel. The silence between us wasn't painful. It was empowering. Every year that went by without hearing from her was like another trophy. Proof that I didn't need her. Proof that I was right to bury her when I did. Still, there were moments I caught myself thinking about her, but not in a way that made me want her back. More like curiosity about how far gone she'd become. Did she ever wonder about me? Did she ever sit in her nice little house with her new husband and kids and feel even a second of regret? Or was I just completely wiped from her memory, like I never existed? Didn't matter. She could pretend all she wanted, but I hadn't forgotten a single thing she said the night she left. I'm sick of you. You're just like your deadbeat father. I deserve better. Those words replayed in my head every time I signed a new contract, every time I pulled up in a nicer car, every time I walked into a house that was mine. She didn't realize it, but she built the drive that got me here. Her absence wasn't a wound, it was fuel. I got used to introducing myself without mentioning her. When people asked about my family, I'd say, it's just me and my dad. If they pressed, I'd add, my mom left when I was a teenager. That was it. End of conversation. No one needed the details. She didn't deserve to be remembered in long sentences. By the time I was nearing 30, I thought the silence would last forever. A clean break. A sealed tight. That's what I counted on. That's what I wanted. And if that had been the end, if she had just faded into the background forever, I would have been fine. But people like her don't stay gone. They come back when they smell opportunity. And she sure as hell smelled it when she realized her worthless, judgmental son wasn't some lost cause, but a guy with money, stability, and a name people actually respected. That's when she finally came crawling out of the shadows. Not with an apology, not with remorse, but with a smile plastered on her face and an invitation that had nothing to do with family and everything to do with her greed. It landed in my inbox like spam mail. Subject line, family reunion. Yeah, she even threw in a heart emoji. 15 years of silence, not a single text, and suddenly she's sending me something that looked like a Hallmark card. The message itself was hilarious in a way only she could pull off. Zero mention of the past, zero accountability. Just, hey sweetie, it's been too long. The kids would love to meet their big brother. Let's all get lunch next week. I think it's time to put the past behind us, don't you? Sweetie, past behind us. Big brother. I sat there rereading it, half expecting Ashton Kutcher to pop out and tell me I'd been punked. She seriously thought she could vanish, then show up like she was inviting me to brunch after a spa day. And of course, tucked in the middle of her fake-friendly paragraphs was the line that gave her away. I'm so proud of the man you've become. I saw your name in that article. Your siblings deserve to have a role model like you in their lives. Translation. I found out you're doing well. Time to milk that. I didn't reply right away. Instead, I sat back and laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was so on brand. For 15 years, I didn't exist. Now I was suddenly the man she was proud of. Right. That pride wasn't for me. It was for her. She wanted to parade me around like some trophy son she could claim credit for. Couple days later, my aunt called me. Not my favorite relative, but she meant well. First thing she said was, "Your mom's so excited you're finally reconnecting. She's been bragging about you for weeks." Bragging. About me. The same woman who told me she was sick of me back when I was a teenager. Now I was her golden goose story to impress the extended family. Look at my successful son, he takes after me. Yeah, no. That sealed it for me. She wasn't inviting me to lunch to reconnect. She was staging a performance. I could already picture it. Her smiling, her new husband sitting there stiff, the kids bouncing around, and her trying to spin 15 years of abandonment into some fairy tale reunion. So I agreed. Not because I wanted to see her. Not because I cared about whatever step-siblings she popped out with her affair partner, but because I wanted to see the look on her face when I tore her script to shreds. She picked the restaurant, of course. Not a quiet spot, not neutral ground. A family-friendly place with booths and crayons on the table. She wanted public eyes on her happy family. I could already tell she'd be overdressed, makeup caked on, acting like she was the star of the show. The way she worded her confirmation text was comedy gold. This means so much to me. You'll see how much love you've been missing out on. I know once you meet your siblings, your heart will soften. Soften? Lady, the only thing getting softened was the breadsticks at Olive Garden. I told my dad about it the night before. He looked at me like I was suiting up for war. You don't owe her anything, he said. I know, I told him. That's why I'm going. He gave me this half-smile, half-worry look. He knew I wasn't walking into that lunch for hugs. I was walking in for closure. The night before, I sat in my apartment thinking about strategy. Because that's what it was. A strategy session, not nerves. She thought she was holding the cards, but she didn't realize I was holding all the receipts. Years of silence, years of her pretending I didn't exist, years of her building a perfect family while my dad picked up the pieces. She wanted to show me off as her successful son? Fine. But she was going to get the unfiltered version. The son who remembered every word she said the night she left. The son who wasn't going to play along with her fantasy. I wasn't going to shout or throw a fit. That would have given her ammo. I was going to stay calm, cool, and drop the truth like a scalpel. Sharp, precise, and impossible to ignore. So I texted her back. Just 3 words. See you there. No emojis, no love you, no fake smiles. And I knew she read that as a win. In her head, she'd already scored the comeback story. What she didn't know was I wasn't walking into a reunion. I was walking into her trap on purpose, so I could burn it to the ground right in front of her new family. The second I stepped into the restaurant, I spotted them instantly. My mom sitting in a booth like she was the hostess of some charity gala, posture too perfect, smile stretched so wide it looked painful. She was dressed up more than the place required, like she thought this was a red carpet event. Next to her was the husband, Mr. Affair Partner himself, sitting stiff, his hands folded on the table like he was bracing for impact. And across from them were the kids. Except they weren't little anymore. 14 and 16. Teenagers. Old enough to know when something doesn't smell right. Her eyes lit up the second she saw me. She stood up way too fast, practically lunging forward. "Sweetie," she chirped, arms wide open like the last years had been one long nap, and she just woke up refreshed. I didn't take the bait. I walked past her hug attempt and slid into the booth seat across from them. Calm, collected, like this was a boardroom meeting. "You look exactly the same," I said, letting the sarcasm do the work. Her husband gave me a stiff nod. No words. Just the kind of nod you give when you want to acknowledge someone without committing to actual conversation. The younger one, the 14-year-old, tried to lighten the air. "So, you're my brother?" His tone was awkward but curious. "Half-brother," I corrected, not unkindly. But yeah, the 16-year-old didn't speak right away. She leaned back in her seat, watching me closely, then flicked her eyes toward Mom, like she was trying to figure out what script we were following. Smart kid. Mom wasted no time starting her performance. "We've all been waiting for this day," she said, her voice dripping with sugar. "I told them how wonderful you are, how proud I am of the man you've become. You've accomplished so much, and I know your siblings will look up to you." There it was. The pitch. Subtle as a sledgehammer. She wasn't just reconnecting. She was selling me to them like some shiny product she wanted credit for. Proud? I raised an eyebrow. That's funny. Didn't realize ignoring someone for years counted as parenting. Her smile cracked for half a second before she pulled it back. Let's not do this here. This isn't the time. That's exactly why it's the time, I said. You wanted a family lunch? Then let's actually talk about how this family came to exist. The younger one frowned, clearly confused. What do you mean? I looked straight at them. It means this family you're sitting in only exists because she destroyed two others. Mine and your dad's first one. Boom. Silence. The 16-year-old sat up straighter, eyes darting to Mom. The 14-year-old blinked fast, processing it. Not a word came out of their mouths, but the shock was written all over their faces. Mom's voice sharpened instantly. That's not fair. They don't need to hear about... They do, I cut in. Because for years, you've been pretending you're some victim who deserved better. But the truth? You cheated. You walked out. You told me to my face that you were sick of me. And then you vanished. Don't sit here acting like you built some perfect life. You built this on lies and destruction. Her husband shifted in his seat, uncomfortable, like he wanted to melt into the cushion. He didn't look at me. He didn't look at her either. Just stared at the table, jaw tight. The kid's eyes bounced between me and her. You could see the doubt forming. The fairy tale they'd been fed was cracking. Mom's mask dropped. Gone was the sugary tone. What came out was pure venom. You ungrateful brat. After everything I sacrificed, this is how you treat me? I gave you life. You wouldn't even be here without me. I smirked. You gave me life, then threw it away like garbage. And don't worry, I turned out just fine without you. Actually, better than fine. Her voice shook, not from sadness but fury. You're just like your father. Bitter, cruel, small. There it was, the line I'd been waiting for. I leaned in, calm, my tone sharp and steady. Yeah, I am like my father. And look how that turned out. Successful, wealthy, built something real out of nothing. So thank God I am like him. Because if I ended up like you, God forbid, I'd rather be broke than pathetic. The silence that followed was brutal. Even the background noise of plates clattering and waiters moving faded. Everyone at the table froze. Her husband's face twisted like he'd swallowed a rock. The teens stared at her, wide-eyed, like the foundation of their lives had just been yanked out from under them. Mom's mouth opened and closed, but nothing came out. For once, she had no script, no excuse, no manipulation ready. Quick pause, fellas. YouTube just dropped this new hype feature. If you're hooked on this story, smash that hype button. It tells YouTube this video deserves to blow up, and it keeps even crazier stories coming your way. Thanks so much for your support. All right, back to the drama. I stood up, slow and calm. Adjusted my jacket, took my time, looked at the two teens. You seem like good kids. Just remember, none of this is on you. But don't let anyone lie to you about what happened. You deserve the truth. Then I turned back to her, gave her the coldest smile I've ever given anyone. Enjoy the rest of your family lunch. And I walked out. No yelling, no big scene, just a clean exit. Left her sitting there in the ruins of her little performance, mask ripped off in front of the people she wanted to impress most. She wanted a reunion. What she got was reality. I thought that was the end of it. I figured she'd crawl back into whatever delusional world she'd built and lick her wounds in silence. But nope, that woman does not do silence. A couple days later, my phone lit up with messages from a number I didn't recognize. At first, I thought it was spam, one of those fake car warranty things. But then I read the first line. It's your mother. Don't ignore me. Great. She somehow got my number. I didn't give it to her, so I knew exactly how she got it. Through one of those relatives who thinks family is family no matter what. Thanks, Aunt Karen. Really helpful. The texts came in waves, paragraphs at a time. At first, they were syrupy sweet. I know lunch was hard, but I only want what's best for you. Your siblings love you already, and they need their big brother. Then it shifted. You're the oldest. You have responsibilities. They need stability. You need to step up for them. After that, the money hints started slipping through. It's not about money, but you've been so blessed it would mean a lot if you shared with your family. A good son doesn't turn his back when his mother asks for help. And finally, the insults. You're acting like a child. Your father poisoned you. You're cold, heartless. You'll regret this one day. It was like scrolling through the stages of manipulation. Guilt tripping, love bombing, shaming. Rinse and repeat. I didn't reply. Not once. But I saved every single message. Screenshots. Dates. Times. Because I knew the longer this went on, the worse it would get. And I wasn't about to play the he said, she said game later. The funniest part? She kept saying, I'm your mother. Like those 3 words were supposed to be some kind of magic spell. As if disappearing for years, then ambushing me at lunch, somehow reset just because she typed it in all caps. I'm your mother? Cool. And what exactly did that buy me in the last decade? Nothing. Every time the phone buzzed, I just shook my head. I wasn't angry anymore. Honestly, it was almost funny watching her cycle through desperation, like a bad soap script. First the guilt, then the begging, then the threats. Like a toddler throwing every tantrum in the book to see which one sticks. But underneath the comedy was the part that mattered. She was fishing for money. She didn't care about reconnecting. She didn't care about me. She cared that I'd done well for myself, and she wasn't getting a cut. She wanted to use those teenagers as leverage, help your siblings, which really translated to pay for the lifestyle I think I deserve. That was the moment I knew ignoring her wasn't enough. Cutting her off emotionally was one thing, but this was an attempted comeback tour, and she was planning to sell tickets using my bank account. So I made a call, not to her, to a lawyer. We went over everything. I signed a healthcare proxy and power of attorney so if anything ever happened to me, she wouldn't have a say in medical decisions. I also updated my will so she had no legal path to claim a cent of my estate. Basically, we wrote her out of every possible scenario where she could try to insert herself. I wasn't just cutting her out emotionally anymore. I was erasing her from the paperwork. Legally dead to me. The lawyer even chuckled when I showed him some of her texts. This is textbook manipulation, he said. You did the right thing coming here. She'll try again. People like this always do. It took a couple hours, but when I walked out of that office, I felt lighter. Not happy. There's no happiness in cleaning up this kind of mess. But satisfied. Like I just locked the last door she could ever try to crawl through. Of course, word got back to her. They always do. Maybe the same relative who gave her my number told her. Maybe she snooped. Doesn't matter. A week later, another unknown number popped up. Another text wall. This one full-on meltdown. How dare you cut me out legally? I'm your mother. You can't erase me like that. This is betrayal. You're turning your back on blood. You'll regret this when I'm gone. I didn't reply. Just screenshotted. Filed it with the rest. Because here's the truth. She walked out years ago and made it clear I wasn't her son. Now I was just making it official. Some people might think I went too far. Maybe. But honestly, if she had just stayed away, I wouldn't have lifted a finger. She made her choice when she left, and I was fine leaving it at that. But the second she came back and looked at me like a credit card she forgot she had in her wallet, that was it. That was the last straw. This wasn't about revenge. This was about self-preservation. She wanted a reunion. She got reality. And now she has paperwork too. I thought that would finally shut her down. A sane person would have taken the legal cutoff as the final line in the sand. But she doesn't do sane. She does noise. She does theatrics. So when I heard pounding on my apartment door like the SWAT team was outside, I wasn't even shocked. I checked the peephole. There she was, my mom. She looked rough. Not the carefully made-up woman from the lunch. Hair frizzed, face blotchy, stomping in the hallway like a lunatic. She banged on the door again, rattling the frame. I know you're in there. Open this door right now. I am your mother. I didn't move to open it. I just leaned against the wall, pulled out my phone, and started recording. If she wanted to make a fool of herself, I was happy to save it in 4K. She cycled through her script at top volume. Guilt first. After everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me? I carried you for 9 months. I raised you. I gave up my best years for you. Then, duty. You're the oldest. You're supposed to step up. Your siblings need you. They deserve better than this cold version of you your father poisoned. And finally, the insults. You're heartless. You think money makes you better than me? You're nothing without me. And you'll regret this when I'm gone. The whole thing was loud enough that a neighbor cracked their door, peeked out, and then shut it fast like, nope, not getting involved in this. I stayed quiet. Just held the phone steady while she kept digging her own grave. 10 minutes of her screaming in the hallway, then she stomped off muttering about how ungrateful I was. I replayed the footage. It was perfect. Raw, unedited, no way to spin it. The next morning, I sent the video to a few relatives. Not all of them, just the ones who mattered. The aunt who gave her my number, my grandparents, a couple cousins. Along with the video, I typed one sentence, "This is what I've been dealing with." The responses came back fast. My aunt, the same one who thought she was helping by giving out my number, wrote, "I didn't know it was like this. She told us you cut her off for no reason." My grandfather texted, "I'm ashamed. We raised her better than this. She's screaming like a stranger, not a mother. A cousin called me outright and said, "She's been telling everyone you abandoned her, that you hate her for no reason. This is the first time I've seen the other side." And just like that, her victim narrative started to crumble. Of course, she tried to spin it when they confronted her. Family group chat blew up that afternoon. People asked her directly, "Why are you yelling at him like that? Why did you tell us he abandoned you when you're the one showing up at his door?" Her replies were gold. "He edited the video. He provoked me. He's making me look bad because he's bitter." But the problem with video is, you can't argue with your own voice. Her words were clear as day. No editing, no tricks. She did the damage herself. Then came the heavy hitter. My dad finally spoke up. He'd been quiet for years, partly because he didn't want to deal with her mess, partly because he didn't want to drag me deeper into it. But once the family started buzzing, he jumped in. In one long message, he laid it all out. She cheated. She told our son she was sick of him. She left us for another man. She didn't reach out for years. He's not lying, and he has every right to cut her off. Stop blaming him for the choices she made. Reading that hit me harder than I expected. For once, it wasn't just me standing alone with my side of the story. My dad was in the ring with me, putting his name on it. And with his word, the relatives stopped tiptoeing. That week, the family flipped. Relatives who used to pity her now avoided her. The same aunt who gave away my number apologized, saying, "I thought she just wanted to reconnect. I didn't realize she was using you." My cousins started pulling back from her, some even blocking her on Facebook after she tried to guilt them too. She went from being the poor abandoned mother to the outcast almost overnight, and she hated it. Word got around to her husband too, the stepdad, Mr. Affair partner. Apparently he saw the video. I don't know what was said in their house, but one relative told me he'd been keeping his distance, barely speaking to her. One comment made it back to me through the grapevine. "I didn't sign up for this circus." Translation: the cracks were showing. Even the guy she blew up our lives for was starting to realize he'd shackled himself to a disaster. And here's the thing. I didn't blast the video online, didn't post it to strangers. This wasn't about revenge clout. It was about making sure the people who actually mattered, the ones she'd been lying to, finally saw the truth. And for the first time, I wasn't the black sheep. She was. I thought maybe, just maybe, that would finally be the end of it. She'd been exposed to the relatives. My dad backed me up. Her kids were starting to doubt her. Her husband was cracking. She had nowhere left to spin her lies. But like I've said before, she doesn't do sane. She doubles down until she breaks everything around her. So the next stunt she pulled wasn't at my door. It was at my work. I was in the middle of a meeting when my phone started buzzing nonstop. At first, I ignored it, thinking it was just another number she'd burned through. Then I saw a text from a coworker. Your mom is here?" My stomach dropped. I got up, walked down to the lobby, and sure enough, there she was, standing at the front desk like she owned the place, waving her arms around and demanding to see me. Loud. Way too loud. "I'm his mother," she kept saying, like it was some kind of VIP pass. "You can't keep me from my own son." The receptionist looked like she wanted to crawl under the counter. People walking in for appointments were staring. My co-workers were peeking around corners. And me? I just pulled out my phone again and hit record. She spotted me and ramped it up even more. "There he is! That's my son. He's been brainwashed, but I'm here to help him. He needs to step up for his siblings. He owes me that much." I didn't take the bait. I didn't even raise my voice. I just stood there, calm as ever, while she unraveled in front of everyone. Security eventually escorted her out, but not before she shouted one last gem across the lobby. "You'll regret this when I'm gone." The second the doors shut behind her, the place went dead quiet, all eyes on me. I just shrugged and said, "Family drama," then walked back to my office like nothing happened. But inside, I knew this was the final straw. That night, I called my lawyer again. I told him about the work incident, sent him the video, sent him the texts, sent him the hallway recording from my apartment. He didn't even hesitate. "We're filing for a restraining order." And we did. When the court date came, I sat there cool and collected. She showed up all put together, hair done, trying to look like some misunderstood mother. But the second the judge saw the videos, the act crumbled. Her screaming at my apartment door. Her meltdown in the lobby of my job. The texts guilt-tripping me about money and siblings. It was all right there, in her own words. She tried to argue, said I provoked her, said I was cruel, but the judge cut her off quick. "Your behavior is inappropriate and unstable. This young man has every right to protect himself." The judge issued a temporary restraining order on the spot and set a hearing. At the hearing, after watching the videos and reading the texts, he made it permanent. Now she's legally barred from contacting me, showing up at my home, or showing up at my work. For once, the line wasn't just emotional or personal, it was legal. I walked out of that courthouse lighter than I felt in years. The fallout after that was brutal. For her. Her husband, Mr. Affair partner, finally hit his breaking point. Apparently, he was furious about the work incident. Relatives told me he's been staying with his brother, saying he needs space. Translation: the man she blew up my family for is packing his bags. Her younger kids, the half-siblings, weren't taking it well either. They're teenagers. They have phones. They've seen the recordings. They've heard the relatives talking. They know their mom isn't the victim she claimed to be. The 16-year-old apparently told her straight up, "Why didn't you just stop? Why did you have to keep making it worse?" The 14-year-old blocked her on social media after she tried spamming them with guilt messages. I don't blame them. They didn't ask for any of this. But now they're living in the mess she created. She's isolated. No allies, no excuses left. Meanwhile, I had something I never thought I'd get: peace. One night, I sat with my dad in his kitchen, just the two of us, eating takeout. He looked at me and said, "I should have stood up for you sooner." I shook my head. "You did when it counted." He nodded, quiet for a moment. Then he said, "You handled her better than most grown men would have. I'm proud of you." Hearing that meant more than anything. Not because I needed validation, but because it closed the loop. For so long, it was me against her. Now it's me and him, both free of her. I don't feel guilt. Not one bit. She made her choices. She cheated. She left. She told me she was sick of me. She ignored me for years. Then she tried to waltz back into my life, not to reconnect, but to use me. And when I didn't play along, she doubled down until she destroyed herself. The restraining order wasn't cruelty. It was survival. The exposure to the family wasn't revenge. It was truth. Every step I took because she forced my hand. And now? She's alone. Her husband's gone. Her kids resent her. The family sees her for what she is. She can't call me, can't text me, can't show up at my door, can't humiliate me at my job ever again. She called me just like my father as an insult. Turns out that's the best compliment she's ever given me.